Thank you, Gary, and thank you for this opportunity to speak about the Finnish case. It always feels so good to be in Iceland, but honestly speaking, I sometimes feel that I'm going through a tunnel. It's getting darker and darker, and I don't know if there's any light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope you're going to keep on organizing this conference until I know that this is not a dead end. And with our presentations, we would like to give you some glimmer of hope and to demonstrate that there is actually some light at the end of the tunnel. What I'm mostly concerned is why I think it's getting darker and darker is the shrinking of the democratic space. Since the very unique quality of democracy is that it gives people the power to reinvent the world. And well-being economy is about reinventing the world. And the underlying assumption in almost everything we do and say here is that there is a government which works for the people and for the planet. Well, Finland is a small country. We are only just 0.07% of the world population and 0.23% of the land area. So in that sense, we are not a big power. But I think it's up to us as small countries to show the bigger countries that democracy actually matters. And the idea of this project is to capitalize on democracy and to demonstrate that Finland could even better, the Finnish government could even better work for the people and the planet. So, a few words about the Finland. What's so very well known is that already the 8th time in a row we have been selected or assessed as the happiest country in the world. Well, somebody's asking when who's coming to Finland that where is the happy person in Finland? Well, probably you're going to see that there is one happy person here. We have also a carbon neutrality goal set in our legislation, which is a progressive step. But then we do have some big challenges, democratic challenges. Also, the ecological footprint is way too big. So that's a very big problem. And currently, what's really troubling us is the security situation, since we have the longest land border with Russia in Europe, 1,300 kilometers, and there is a huge investment in military spending, which is, of course, perhaps not the best way to invest in economy of well-being. And also our debt rate is already on a quite high level. So 3 years ago, the Ministry of Social and Health asked us at the THL, the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare, to develop a steering model for economy of well-being. So Finland was a pioneering country and probably still is, but we haven't had a steering model. So that's why we wanted to develop this idea. and we were looking at the 5 different areas of governance for the model. Strategic, resource, also governance by laws and regulations, knowledge-based governance, and international governance. Then we also did a lot of work to learn from other countries and to see solutions which have been developed elsewhere. As for the biggest challenge at the start of the project was of course to define what is a well-being economy. Our ideas and thinking boiled down into these 3 different key dimensions. So economic well-being is about current well-being, distribution of well-being, and also about how to balance social, ecological, and economic sustainability. And in our model, we decided to focus on 3 specific areas. Strategic governance, resource governance, and knowledge-based governance. Strategic governance looking at how sustainable well-being is reflected in national policy-making objectives. So the main problem is how to build this bridge between different democratically elected governments, which tend to have different priorities over government periods. And then resource governments, as was said earlier today, if there are very nice goals about how to move things forward and they are not connected to budgetary processes, they are just not having an impact. And then knowledge-based governance is, of course, very important in this respect. And as for the examples from other countries, we look at Estonia for strategy governance and also Wales. So we had visitors from Wales and we also visited Wales. Resource governance, New Zealand, Canada, Ireland, also Iceland, and knowledge-based governance, we really wanted to adopt the model which is in place in the Netherlands. But also some other countries mentioned here have been pioneering in this area. So now Satu will tell you more details about our model and our recommendations.
Yes. Thank you, Heikki, and hi all. So as said, I will continue a bit more on the practical side of things about the suggestions of policy action that we found suitable for Finland in short and medium term. So indeed, we did some recommendations for action for both short term, so 1 to 3 years, and medium term, approximately 3 to 10 years. And this is because at this very moment there might not be the political readiness to go for the moonshot straight away. But still we found that there is many things to be done immediately within the current structure. So this is why we have these two timelines. The short-term measures are something that are suitable for immediate implementation with the current decision-making and administrative structures. More specifically, we assess them as feasible for short-term if they were mentioned in the current government program, if they follow EU's common economic policy guidance, so they would be then developed because of those, or if these actions could be simply implemented within the autonomy of the ministries or other public bodies that we are suggesting these actions to. There are, of course, many aspects to kind of policy suggestions, but just to highlight some for you to get an idea what we're working on. So it is well identified at the moment that Finland should strengthen the strategic goal setting in the central level. And currently the number of goals and related documents, strategy documents for the government program is far too high. And the Prime Minister's office is working on this, aligning these. And for this, we suggested that the current strategy documents would be analyzed in terms of their impact on sustainable well-being to identify common policy goals within sectors. So this is something we're actually doing in a small scale with the Prime Minister's office at the moment. So just to mention that. Also in a couple of weeks, Finland will be having our own indicator set for Wellbeing Economy. We are publishing it at the 20th of May at our symposium. So this helps a bit to kind of clarify the idea of well-being economy and also in goal setting in cross-sectional policies. And then we've been discussing with the Futures Committee in the Parliament about the possibility to initiate a hearing to set out long-term goals for Finland, because this is something that we don't have at the moment. And then for medium-term policy actions, these are something that could be built up from those short-term things. They indicate what well-being economic governance could concretely look like in the coming decade if Finland adopted the best international practices. So this is not something very highly innovative or something that we came up with, but we have benchmarked best practices that are everyday practices for some of you. And so these are some of the suggestions that we'd like to share with you. So we suggest that the government decides on a long-term strategy or then well-being targets for a given government term. This would enable kind of the policy coherence a lot. And then we suggest that the government appoints an ombudsman for the future, as the future's thinking is key and essential to well-being economy. And also we suggest that government launches an impact assessment process with sectoral research institutes to assess selected national programs. There is some interest, at least with our institute, for this, so it's a start. And for a moonshot or something that needs a bit of a political push is that the Ministry of Finance develops the necessary tools for the well-being budget process in Finland as well. And this is something that we should eventually come up with, as it's also about aligning resources with policy goals. And to conclude with some reflections and steps forward, we've seen bits of what's next for Finland. But just to say that the foundation for a well-governed societal transformations that is needed for the green transformation is based on communities that have high level of trust. So that's why we need to balance social, ecological, and economic aspect and govern these together. And of course, the same goes for sudden challenges. We need trust to recover those. And from Finland, there is not a single pathway ahead. We don't know what is the kind of the key element of well-being economy for us at the moment, but there are many streams that are already emerging, and the proposed model highlights what's essential for the implementation, for the effective implementation of well-being economic governance. We should avoid politicization of well-being agendas, and we think citizen participation and parliamentary consensus negotiations are part of this. So this is very important for us that we would reach that. And lastly, ideas are nice and everyday practices are what matters, so we need to keep on continuing these experiences and learn together of how it's actually done in the level of details. Many thanks.